target. You know, so our women are having children, and right off the top, they going down to these formulas, and they going down to cow's milk for some reason, which I really don't understand it. You know, just out of laziness a lot of time, or out of discomfort. But that also, number one, breastfeeding enhances the child's immune system. Number two, breastfeeding also establishes a bond between the child and a mother. So when that breastfeeding is cut, now you have more of a disconnect with the family. You have more of a disconnect with the child and the mother. That bonding process is kind of cut a little bit. So it's not exactly the same. Then, when you look at what the government is doing, is the government really pushing breastfeeding in our community? No, they're not. They want to push these infant formulas, which are made up of toxic chemicals a lot of times, which are made up of hormonal adjusting substances, such as cow's milk, or such as soy, which is becoming very popular in the infant formulas nowadays for those of us who are vegetarian or vegan. We have to worry about the soy, which can actually damage the reproductive system of the child. So when that child gets older now, they already starting with reproductive issues. And they're going to be more likely to have problems reproducing, or develop abnormalities such as the formation of breasts, having a cycle early, etc. So now we have the WIC program, which you can only get certain types of formulas of baby foods, etc. So we combating this already. Your child ain't even 1 yet. So we're going into the next point, which is next to media. And I want to touch a little bit on music, because music plays a key essential role in our culture. Just about everywhere we go, with the exception of here, music plays a huge part. You know, everywhere black people is music and there's food. So what type of music are we giving our children? Are we exposing our children to? Are we letting our children listen to? Or are they listening to without us? What type of music are our artists producing? It said, I just read a recent study that confirmed, you know, something, again, the ancient wisdom is always present with us. But now they have these modern studies where, you know, the white people always feel a need to confirm, you know, what we already know. And they say that the studies show that babies inside of the uterus can actually hear and respond to the sound of the mother's voice and music while inside of the womb. So when the baby comes out, the baby can recognize the mother's voice above anybody else's voice. Same thing with music, because when we talk about that, we are also going into energy. And the energy that is produced, there's a loving energy that comes from the sound of a mother's voice, for a mother who cares for her child. And we have to have that same loving energy with our music, or else we're poisoning our child's spirit. And then when these behaviors start to come up, because music speaks directly to the spirit, and that's what makes it so powerful. Traditionally, it was used in just about all spiritual practices and traditional African cultures, and it was used as something that was socially relative. Things for purposes that were socially relative to the people who used that particular music, whether it was drum rhythms, whether it was the mbira, the kora, etc., all of the traditional African instruments. So when we go on today and we look at not only the quality of music that our artists are producing, but why are they able to do this and get away with it? And that's because children are able to relate to it because they have an angry spirit now from how they were being brought up. Everybody with me? So far, we got angry spirited children who have already been poisoned by vaccines and have a disconnect to parents, to family, a lot of times, and possibly to authority. Next point, we have magazines and the still image advertisements. And I was watching a video, actually how I got introduced to Dr. Umar before meeting him, speaking with him. I bought a video, a DVD, that had him on one disc and Professor Griff from Public Enemy was on the other disc. Professor Griff really went into detail and actually had a presentation where he was showing the different subtle messages that were in a lot of the still image advertisements. And a lot of it revolving around sex, primarily, with the Coca-Cola advertisements. And there's also another video. Do you remember the name of the video? There's another video that we have that was also depicting that, showing it about Pepsi and a lot of the major name brands and how certain things. The one thing that sticks out to me is a license to kill. No, it was another video. It was another one. But they actually show like how the symbol for Dodge looks like a vagina. Oh yeah, I know which one. You know what I'm talking about? And they showed how somebody on a Coca-Cola advertisement is having oral relations with someone within the ice. It's like a shadow or something like that. But these are little subtle images that are going into our children's minds whenever they see that also. Then we have one of the biggest things, which is the TV show. Which a lot of times, I don't know if you realize it, but TV shows and movies kind of set standards for how children think and how they behave. And I can attest to that with our son here. Sometimes he will watch different movies and without even really thinking about it, he starts to act that out. When I was young, I did the same thing. I used to watch the Morton Downey Jr. show. Anybody remember that? Anybody remember the Morton Downey Jr. show? This is a white man who had his own talk show late night. And he used to smoke cigarettes on TV. This man, he would have guests come on, and whenever he would disagree with the guests, he would say, shut up, you don't know what you're talking about. And subconsciously, that stuck in my head for me to remember that now. And I started going around saying it without even thinking about it. Not even thinking about it. One day I slipped up, and this is what really, really brought my attention to it, how bad it actually was. My mom came and said something to me. And I said, shut up, and then I caught myself. And my mom, before I could finish my sentence, she said, and I said, Dad, did I just say that? And that really brought my attention and woke me up like, wow, I gotta watch what I'm watching and watch what I'm repeating and watch what I'm allowing inside of my spirit. And when you go around to the school system, I see a lot of children acting out scenes from wrestling, scenes from the movies that are coming up, repeating lines and quotes from it. Saw some influence in the music. It's an influence in the different things that they consume. Why do you think people pay so much money to have this stuff advertised on the movie? So we got my next point, which is commercial. And the commercials nowadays, a lot of them really kind of drive some of these concepts home because they have same thing with the TV shows. They target our children through the humor. So everything is a joke now. You know, so when we talk about, I seen a Doritos commercial for the Super Bowl. Everybody seen that? Where, yeah. Where they had the little, there was a man, for those of you who haven't seen it. You have two men in a steam room, one white man and one black man. So they show the top half of the body, both of them sitting down in a steam room, shirts off, towels on. And the white man goes like this and reaches between the black man's legs while he's sleeping. And then they pan the camera after a while and they show what he's reaching for, and it's a bag of Doritos in between the man's legs. So then the black man wakes up. It's like, and then they cut to a black, you know, the Doritos, whatever. Then they cut back, and the black man is feeding the white man Doritos. We don't think this stuff is affecting how our children are thinking?
A lot of people look at it as entertainment.
Say that again?
A lot of people just look at it as entertainment.
Just entertainment.
Just like Big Mama's house.
Just like Big Mama's house. You know, a lot of us look at these things as entertainment, but we're not seeing how it's affecting our children. Can you imagine? Because just like I just mentioned, I know y'all see it. I know y'all see it. Where the children are coming out and they're reenacting these scenes that they're seeing on TV and seeing on the movie. Can you imagine two boys sitting down in the classroom or the playground reenacting that scene? Are these the things that we really want our children reenacting? But they're slipping this stuff on little by little, and it's getting worse over time. Because they're able to slip it in because it's in the name of this just being entertainment or just being a joke. What's wrong? You ain't got no sense of humor? Now they making the homosexuality more acceptable. You know what I'm saying? And there's nothing wrong. Let me rephrase that. I don't want to say that homosexuality itself is necessarily like if you're a homosexual, you're a problem. I don't want to say that. But homosexuality, the fact of the matter is that it's abnormal, and usually it's, from a holistic standpoint, it's not healthy. When you look into the causes of homosexuality, a lot of it comes from previous hurt, previous pain that's in the past, stress, or some type of traumatic experience is a primary cause of why a lot of children are homosexual, or why a lot of people grow up with homosexual tendencies. We also have video games. And this is another thing that often gets overlooked, especially violent video games. And we are seeing now the increase of violent video games. Video games that perpetuate negativity and negative stereotypes. Call of Duty, we can name, and I really have been out of the video game scene for a while, because at one point, I myself was a video game addict. Video games could be a drug just like anything else. I was an addict to the point where I actually used to go and steal money to play video games back when I was younger. So when I became an adult, I had to check myself on it. I started to realize how much time it was actually taken out of my day and out of my productivity. And it's a distraction, but it also works to desensitize our children to violent behavior. Because again, now it's in the name of fun. Oh, I see this wrestling on TV. Oh, this is fun. This is entertainment. Oh, I'm playing this violent video game. This is entertainment. But we lose, or our children lose, a sensitivity to this actually happening in person. When people get hurt, they think it's funny. Because they're used to seeing violence in that fun context. Then the violence is perpetuated through the music. So now it becomes cool. It becomes cool to be violent. So, oh yeah, I punched that kid in the face. I'm proud of it. We have to get back to a point where we are instilling and reinforcing morals in our children and not saying, oh, this is just entertainment, because that's a contradiction and the children want to pick that up. So the next point I want to go about before I really get into the whole gist of what I really want to talk about is the nutritional aspect of it. But also the educational system. What is this educational system designed to do for our children? Because a lot of us, and everybody in here, I don't believe that you think that this educational system is designed to really help us as a people or help our children. So I don't think you would really be here. But a lot of our people feel that way, or they feel like it's just a babysitting type place because they have to go to work. They don't want to deal with the children. It's a distraction. So now they throw all of this responsibility on the school system to educate our children, and we are not doing our job at home as parents to really teach our children outside of the school, to even help our children with things such as homework and school assignments and projects when they need their help. That's a huge problem. And this educational system is a miseducational system. And it is designed to teach the children to grow up and fall right back into this system of white domination. That's all it's really designed to do. Whatever they teach you in public school, me and myself, I'm also a product of public schools, and I can attest to this. Coming up, I had one teacher who taught me something outside of the box, and I still remember him to this day. I might have forgot the majority of my teachers, but Mr. Anthony Edwards, back when I was in 6th grade, and we had a class that was so bad, because I'm from New York, I'm from the Bronx, Mount Vernon area in New York. And the school I went to, our class was off the hook when I was in 6th grade. I mean, it was so bad that we had an English teacher. We had this white bald-headed English teacher who started out the year. He quit after about a week. We had another English teacher. He quit after about a week. We had 2 or 3 substitutes within that time frame before we had other teacher who came in, which was Mr. Edwards. And Mr. Edwards, you know, outside of English, that same class was also social studies. So I don't know if it might have been due to budget cutbacks or whatever, but the same teacher was teaching 2 subjects, English and social studies. And the social studies curriculum that Mr. Edwards implemented was African history. First time and last time I ever seen it. And I know that wasn't part of the curriculum. But it was something that was covered in the book, and he decided to teach them. And he came in with a certain order that made the children respect him. Most of the other teachers, we went through, I mean, that class that year was ridiculous. We had a homeroom teacher that got hit underneath the eye with a lock, trying to break up a fight, had to have surgery. Had to sue the kid's mom for $1 million. And won the case. The mom probably still paying him to this day. Because she a low income, single mother with a child who had been expelled from about 2 schools previously. And he wound up being expelled from that school. You know, but again, growing up into this system, they don't teach you anything about African culture. Hardly a thing. They might teach you a little bit of something during February, Black History Month, you know, where they teach you about maybe Martin Luther King and Malcolm X, you know, maybe a couple inventors here and there, you know, George Washington called the same people over and over again. They teach you about slavery, but they don't teach you anything to tie you back to where we were prior to slavery. They don't teach you anything about that. but they call it Black History Month, and they consolidate all that into a month somehow. And when you look at how they treat African culture, how the system treats African culture, they try to ridicule anything that is associated with African culture. If I walk down the street wearing an African top, the kids in the school are going to be the first ones to ridicule you. Where are they getting this information from? Where are they getting these concepts from? So I want to read the quote that I got from Dr. Kamal. I want to read two quotes that I got from him. Number one is, the wrong concept will always lead to the wrong conclusion. The second one, which directly coincides with that, is white numerical minority people have mastered concept control and concept engraving. They, meaning the scientists, the teachers, the philosophers, the theologians, etc., have conquered the process of concept formation and developed the process to introduce and superimpose their concepts to and on the world in a method to control all of the conceptual space that fills our mind. Do you understand the power of that statement? That is a powerful statement, because that means that they are filling your head up with all of these concepts from all of the different avenues that I just brought, from the parents to the media, all of these different avenues in the media. So now the school system, where they spend the majority of their day, which this system forces our children to be in some type of a school. I don't know if it's the same here, but in Maryland, it is against the law for your child to miss the school, a day of school unexcused in the public school system. And they will call to check. If your child is gone from the school, they'll call within a day or two to check to see why your child is absent. That means they are really they really want your child here. Then they got things such as the Pledge of Allegiance, where you have to, as a black child, I always had a problem with the Pledge of Allegiance. Even before I even understood what it was, I had a problem with the spiritual. Because I was like, it just didn't sit right. But coming of age and understanding what it is, how can we pledge allegiance to a flag? How can we pledge allegiance to a country that is not supporting us as a people? And all this country is proven to be about is really materialism. And that is the major concept that is permeating through our minds. Even us, a lot of us, is we have the concept of materialism as number one in our lives. It's not our family anymore. It's not the children anymore. It's not even ourselves. I done seen people put money before their health, put money before their families. We're killing each other over money. We're killing each other over clothes. We're out buying cars just to show off this money that we don't even have. We're out buying all of these different expensive jewelry items to show off money that we don't have, to make other people jealous, because it is taught that is what life is about. How can that be what life is about when money was created by white people? We ain't create money, not this form of money anyway, that we have here. Well, we have the power, we have the ability to do that. But again, it goes back to this. This is a threat against the system of white domination, because money is a form of manipulation. And if they can't control us by money and by their jobs, which they never encourage black children to grow up and be entrepreneurs. Never see that in public school. I have yet to see that or hear that. To encourage black children to grow up and become entrepreneurs in the system. They encourage them to grow up, to go through school, to go get a college education and to work for somebody else. So again, we're going to be subjective to this here because who's owning the business?
Yeah, I'm gonna go over here. Yeah, I got it.
The other ethnicity. And this unity within our community is how they go about keeping the system of white domination in place. Because we don't have the strength or the organizational capacity to come together and form our own system, to form our own school system even if we had it, a lot of people wouldn't really support it. You know, and I'm proud of one school out in D.C., Ujima, what is it called? Ujima Shule School, I forget the full name, but Ujima Shule School out in D.C., which has been running for, I believe, what has it been, over 30 years?
20 years.
About 40 years, with no government assistance. All black school, no grade levels in that school. That school is based upon how the child moves up, is based upon the child's individual learning speed and individual capability. So someone who might be 7 like him could be in the same class as someone who's 12 or 13. Just because he's on the level of a 12, 13-year-old. That's the key, because a lot of our children are gifted, they're faster, they think faster, and they move faster and learn faster than this system really allows them to, or would like to allow them to. So they're not able to progress, and so they get bored, they get restless in the school system, they're not able to pay attention because it doesn't grab their interest. I was one of those children, but I just happened to have the ability to pay attention well when I was in school. But it suffered in other areas. I was never one to do my homework. And I've seen that a lot, you know, going through the school system, having a lot of different children who were just bored with the material. Didn't grab their interest, and it also doesn't culturally relate to us, the material. So how can we gravitate towards something that doesn't culturally relate to us? When they stole all of the information that they're giving us from our ancestors. So when you go down to even the names of what they're calling a lot of the stuff, the Pythagorean theorem in math, that didn't come from Pythagoras. When you go to, I could name a host of different things. And not to drag on with that, but it has to culturally relate. It gets back to relating to our children, and that's one thing that the system is not doing. So now I want to get into foods. And by the way, the school system, the public school system, has the worst quality food. Worst quality food that you can get. That's allowed in this country. And that says a lot. Because there's a lot that's allowed in this country. So it's like after everybody else gets their food, the public schools get the leftovers. And of course, the ones that have a majority of a black population is going to get the worst of that. So everybody, we all know, number one is the sugar problem. So sugar, I want to be clear too about sugar, because we all have a tendency to look at sugar, and sugar, period, is bad. And that's why they are allowing or bringing out a lot of this terminology that is used to really fool us into buying things that are actually worse than sugar. When they hit you with the sugar-free product. Oh, this ain't got no sugar, man. It says sugar-free on the label. Sugar is equal to processed sweeteners when I refer to sugar in a negative context. I want to make that clear.